Hello, and welcome to Camp, Scary and Squee, a podcast that tests my theory that every horror movie exists on a scale of divine camp to pure terror. I'm your host, Damien O'Mara, and my guest today is looking for one thing in a horror movie. She wants to see something new. Welcome to the person who knows more about horror than anyone else I know. Lisa Rufus, welcome.
That is such a wind job. I'm this massive pressure now. You should have warned me you're going to put a title like that.
Well, I think it's well earned. I think if I ever have to go to someone for some horror insight, you are my person.
Way to butter me out. This is good.
To get us started this week, I'd love to know what has been haunting you.
Well, besides the global repudiation of science and reason, I'd have to say summer. I hate summer. I wore shorts last week and I don't like it. You can, like, my legs are so pasty, you can use them as lighthouses. I can't stand it. The only thing you can do is like have a shower or go to air conditioning. But when you get out of the shower, then you have to have another shower because it's so hot when you get out. And yeah, I could go on for days.
Yeah, welcome to Australian summers.
Right, wrong country, wrong state, wrong city.
Yeah, you're. It was a pretty cool day today. Melbourne was reasonably cold until this afternoon. We're starting to warm up.
I'm jealous.
And I want to give you the honours. What horror movie are we discussing today?
Today, it's very fitting that we're doing this recording on Zoom because the movie that I've chosen is Host.
And some quick stats on this. It is released in 2020. It was made in 12 weeks once we knew there was a pandemic, which is amazing. Written by Gemma Hurley, Rob Savage and Jed Shepard, and directed by Rob Savage, who has done some really interesting work in some short films that explore horror in different ways. One of the ones I found was Dawn of the Deaf, which I really thought was very clever and interesting.
Good pun.
Very good pun. This stars a list of, at least to me, unknowns. I will say one person did have a part in Doctor Who. But Hayley Bishop, Gemma Moore, Emma Louise Webb, Radina Drandova, Caroline Ward, Teddy Linnard, and Salen Baxter. I have no idea who she was in Doctor Who, but that was on her IMDb.
She in Doctor Who?
Yeah. Because this is a Shudder original, we don't have a budget. They must hold those things very tightly. However, It has had really great critical success. And before we launch in, its IMDb description says that Host is about 6 friends hire a medium to hold a seance via Zoom during lockdown, but they get far more than they bargained for as things quickly go wrong. And a spoiler warning, we are about to talk about what happens.
Spoilers, klaxon.
So, Lisa, when I asked what film you wanted to talk about, you were very quick to suggest Host, and I'm interested to know why that was.
It's just been in my brain. I watched it and then I watched it again. It's 56 minutes long, so... Such
a great length.
Pop in a conditioning treatment and, sit back and relax. Don't relax. It's a horror movie. But it's just, there are films that you watch throughout your lives and some of them just stick. They haunt you, they linger. And this was one of them. I only watched it a couple of weeks ago. I only got Shudder recently because it's in Australia now. And it just blew me away. It's like you said, the one thing that I want to see in a film is something new. And although people have done seances and, since the dawn of time, they've brought a new element into it, having it on Zoom. If you know about Zoom, then you know that you've got if you sign up for a free meeting, you have like a 45-minute thing and then the meeting ends. So that's a very Hitchcockian time bomb under the table. Like, something, even though it goes for 56 minutes, we're not going to talk about that. It goes a little bit over. But you know that there's something that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you watch it on your laptop, there was a guy on Cineblend who wrote, Jason Wise, he wrote an article on Host, and he said, trust me, watch Shudder's Host on your computer instead of your TV. I would have thrown a brick at that guy because that's blasphemy to me. You have to watch your films on a big screen. But by watching it on your laptop, it's up close, you're right in front of it. You might be able to see your reflection in the screen. So
it feels like you're in the meeting. And I say this to someone who watched it on their laptop, and I was like sitting and I have Zoom meetings all day for work, and I was just like, oh my God, it feels like at the beginning I was like, this feels like work. And by the end I'm like, I'm never calling anyone ever again.
Right? Like you're not going to go to the beach again because of Jaws. And now you're going to be quite worried if you ever get on a Zoom meeting and someone starts lighting candles.
It's one of the things I liked about this, and the director Rob Savage said in an interview that one of the reasons he went with Shudder, because he had this idea, you sent this to me, I did not know this, it started out as like a kind of prank video thing that he did with his friends, and he released it on Twitter and it went kind of viral, and it acted as very Evil Dead in the sense that they kind of did a test and then went out to market. And he said that Shudder was the only company that was willing to do it the way they wanted, which was that they had to work out the story and how it would work as they went along. And it's very rare that you get these films that are really responsive to something in a tight time frame, because films take years to make, but to be able to like, A, it was short, B, like the way that it was produced, they didn't have to bring all these people together. They got to like, to get people to work with what they had. But, there's a lot of it's interesting to see someone change up how we make films and what that can achieve.
Yeah, there have been quite a few films like that over the, many decades. And I think this is one of them.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, I was thinking of Blair Witch Project.
Yes.
When that one came out, although we didn't really have marketing for that, so that was all very new and found footage. Although one thing I have to bring up is Host is classified as found footage. But when I think of found footage, I think of an actual item, VHS tape, SD card, that kind of thing that has been found. So your Blair Witch, Creep, Chronicle, films like that, where you can watch the playback, like these events have already happened. We get to watch them again. But with Host and things like Searching, The Den, Unfriended, they are all happening now.
Yeah.
So I think of them more in a genre of iOS horror.
Yeah.
Because we're watching them through somebody's operating system, and we're not on the other side of the camera like we are in normal films. We're on the other side of the screen. So it's a totally different experience than these like found footage. I think there's like another subgenre going on there.
Well, and that's the whole thing with genre is it evolves and it changes and it develops subgenres so that we can continually classify and understand where things fit. And, this is found in a way, however, it's not necessarily found footage.
But it's not found.
Well, it's almost like we're stumbling because you can stumble into someone's. They could have a bad password. Someone could have accidentally let you in.
That's true.
There's lots of ways you could find your way to a Zoom meeting.
Go hack a man.
So this does open on a Zoom call that Hayley is setting up with her friends, and we kind of get. I'm trying to sort of work out the relationship of this group of people. It feels like they've been friends for a long time.
But there's tension.
Yeah. And
between Hayley and Gemma, when they're both on by themselves and Gemma's like, can I just send a quick email?
Yeah, it's like they don't know how to interact with each other.
Yeah, and then someone else comes in and is like, oh, friends and stuff. I love that bit. And even before that, at the very beginning when you see her log in and everything and you see the bit of movement and she peels the bit of sticky tape off her webcam. I'm like, you are an internet savvy millennial.
Yes.
I love you. That's when it had me. I'm like, I'm in. Bring it.
And they like really get how people work.
So clever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so we do start with Hayley and Gemma, and as you say, there's this tension, but very quickly the others start joining in. And soon we have most of the group there. So we have Emma, Gemma, Haley, Radina, and Caroline, but they're talking about Teddy, who has not joined yet. And he joins in, and it is that thing of like, because I know that sometimes I'll join a meeting, and no one's ever been talking about me, but I'll join a meeting and I hear what they're saying, and it takes them a minute to realize that I'm logging in and for me to see everyone. And they're really going at Teddy's girlfriend, Ginny, and he's like logging in, and you're just like, oh no.
Oh, brilliant.
But, whatever happens, he kind of pushes through, and we get, I think, a very great description of his growing his hair, because it's
the twat knot.
The twat knot. I think it's
It's not a man bun, it's a twat knot.
It's an apt description for Teddy, we find out.
Yes.
But at this point, because we're not entirely sure why they're all getting together, but this is the point where we get that Haley has done some seance before, and
yes.
Really, it's something quite important to her, and she's asked all her friends to take part in it. And there is a real air of she's the only person who really believes it.
Yeah. And
they're all kind of there for a bit of fun. And it's not a good combination when you're the friend trying. She clearly wants them all to be part of this and to enjoy it and to take it seriously, and I don't think any of them want to.
No, not at all. Not at all. And there's alcohol and there's shots and...
Yes, Astroplane.
Astroplane.
Yeah, she gets so upset. And they start doing shots, and it's funny because she says, just make sure she can't see you. Please be respectful. And she needed to really lay down the rules and say, look, if that's what you want to do, you need to leave.
Yeah.
I've hired this psychic that's going to come on and do this, and I want to take it seriously. But she doesn't, and maybe that's to be conciliatory and keep everyone happy. Yeah. But we're moving very quickly, but it moves so quickly.
It does. It's 56 minutes.
They have to get through a lot of story in 56 minutes.
Yes, and there's, as you said, you know about the relationships between these people, even though you might spend like a 20 seconds. You know there's tension between Haley and Gemma.
Yeah.
It's just there, boom, it's out there.
And the group is like Teddy's in this newish relationship, and everyone's kind of not sure how they feel about this additional person. Radina's also in a new relationship that they moved in right before lockdown. It's a very bad idea. And we see an argument between them very quickly, and him going off to the bedroom.
He went to the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like it was a one-bedroom place, so that would have been like cramped. And to have somebody that you've obviously just met,
yeah, it would be very difficult. Like moving in together, like with a partner, is hard at the best of times. But to be like, oh, we can't actually leave. Like, I can't go and hang out with my friends in a place where you're not, and like have a bit of a bitch about this is frustrating, or this is fine. Let off that steam, and it probably just is building up all the time.
Yeah. I do have to mention Carolyn's dad. He comes in and he's like, he's going outside, even though he's not supposed to be going. It was such a boomer thing. Like, the boomers are the ones that are going outside and breaking lockdown. Where are your parents? And then he flashes the video. Like,
yeah, he's like, look at my tan.
It's tan. Oh, that was so good.
It's so British. So he must have left the house as well. I guess he was going outside.
Probably went to the pub.
Yeah. Yep. We get Salen joining us, who is here to facilitate this seance and to make sure they do it safely and people have an experience that they want to have. And it very quickly becomes evident that there are a few challenges. One is them all kind of coaxing her to say astral plane.
Yeah.
Which I really loved. Like, it felt like they'd done their research in what to ask to get her to say.
Yes.
Can I talk? My grandparents speak Chinese and I don't speak Chinese. Are they going to be able to...
on the astral plane?
Will I be able to talk to my cat? Yes, as I said, there's no language on the astral plane. Another drink.
What's that place called again?
I can imagine Hayley just being like, I fucking hate all of you.
She got up and stormed out.
Is that where she gets up and storms out?
Or maybe it was a bit. No,
I think it's later.
Oops.
Oh no, we'll jump around. But everything starts and they light their candles. They're kind of forming this circle. What I like is that, because, there's rules to a seance, and
yes,
Seylan spends some time explaining how the rules are different and how they have to handle things differently because they're not all in the same place and they don't have the same ability. She talks about that there is an increased risk, and she...
that was clever.
Yeah, I think that was really clever. And just that kind of, you need to imagine a rope kind of pulling you out the door, and to cut that rope and blow out your candle, and gives them these kind of safety instructions of what to do.
Yes. And we know what happens when you don't follow the safety instructions in horror films.
Oh, yes. Got to follow the rules.
Don't read the Latin.
It's very important. It's only because I recorded Cabin in the Woods the other day. And so don't read the Latin.
Fantastic.
And then we talked about Evil Dead. We talked about Evil Dead, where they read the Latin.
They read the Latin.
One of my notes here, so everything's getting started, and one of the things that kind of stands out to me is the way that Teddy, you can tell that he's really not taking it seriously. And I think it's something just personal to me when someone's vaping. I just go...
But he said that he broke quarantine to go to wherever it was to get that music box.
Oh, yes.
So I think that he did. It was just that his girlfriend...
Ginny. Oh, yes, because
he wanted to.
When
if
they
she
close their
wasn't
eyes.
There,
yeah.
They would have been fine. Yeah.
When they close their eyes, she comes along and starts...
Yeah, and blows out the candle.
And then what? And then she just, signs him out of the chat.
Yeah. Thanks, Teddy.
Everyone's a bit upset about that.
We'll see you in Act 3.
Yes. Well, we will see him in Act 3. If he could, he would regret dialing back into that meeting.
Right? Yes.
Everything, I credit to Seylan. I probably would have gone, do you know what? This isn't going to work out well. I would have been out of there. But she keeps it going, and pretty soon there's a light behind one of them that they're kind of talking about as...
Ellie, yeah.
Yeah, and trying to make connection with these spirits. And it's that beautiful thing in horror where they're building tension and then they have to break it somehow. And she gets a knock at the door.
Yes.
She asks.
Oh my gosh, I love that bit. Sorry.
She's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. That's my delivery.
Okay, maybe that was a little bit camp.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Well, but you need to do that.
It's very now.
Yes,
it's very much a now thing.
But it's that beautiful thing that you need to lull your viewer into a false sense of security. Yes, you can't be high
strung all the time.
Yeah, and you need to
you should go nuts.
If you build some tension, but then break it, and then build it, and then break it, and then build it, and break it, they stop expecting the tension becomes less of an issue, and that's where you scare them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it does it really well. We get back, and this is where things start to turn, I think, where Seylan's back and Gemma has an experience. What happens to her? She starts talking about feeling something.
There's a pressure on her throat that's unbearable. And then Seylan asked some questions, who was it, that kind of thing. And she's like, Jack? I was thinking Titanic. Jack!
I was thinking Jack the Ripper. I'm like, well, she looks like she lives in East London.
True. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and she just, well, I don't want to say pretends, but we know she does pretend that she's seen this boy called Jack who helped her out when she was young and fell over and cracked her head. And he was really, really kind. And then she holds her throat and said he hanged himself. So that's why she's feeling the pressure around her throat, because this guy hanged herself. Keep that hanging.
Yes.
In your brain for later. And
that just clicked for me.
Uh-huh. This is why I watched it 6 times.
How many times you clearly
You've
need
got
to
to
watch
pick
it?
these things up. Yeah, Salen isn't there. Oh, then that's when Salen
it
goes
cuts
away.
out. Something goes wrong, and
Yes,
it cuts out.
If you look at her screen, at Salen's screen, something falls off and it cuts out.
It's almost like the force or whatever it is trying to take away their guide and their protection.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
Oh well, you got
and
me
they
there.
did.
So yeah.
She was gone.
And very quickly after that, Gemma reveals,
It's not true.
yes,
She made him up.
made him up, and Haley is very upset.
That's when she gets up to, I'm going to pee.
Yes, that is. But it's not long after they come back. Yeah, because there are a few points in this where everyone takes a break. And that's one of them.
Yeah.
And when they come back, it kind of everyone's collective themselves. But it does not take long that they're worked up again. And as soon as they are, we get
And they start yelling and everything. That's when the
that's
lights
when
go.
things
away.
happen. And Haley, honestly, the first time I watched it, Haley's chair gets dragged from her computer to the back of the room. I
Oh, it
would
was
love to know how because there's all these articles about
They
him
had to
talking
do
about.
that themselves.
Yeah, they had to set up all their own practical effects, and I would love to know how they did it. They talked about getting care packages from him, like as in here's the stuff you need in order to like
some band-aids and
oh no more like here's the rope and the pulley and the
some knee pads. I hope there is a making of.
oh it would be so
That'd be
interesting.
wonderful to see
I just
how they did that.
there are so many like there are a few things that were clearly done in post, but there are so many things that you just go like
The doors opening, the cupboards opening.
yeah, like that must have been something that they set.
Yeah.
I think in my head because it's a Zoom meeting, I'm like they did it all in one take. They clearly didn't. Like, but I like to think it was this perfectly timed.
Yeah,
they got
all
halfway
real.
through and it's stuffed up, and they're like, "Oh, we'll start again."
Brilliant.
But yeah, it's just that first kind of shocking moment of something that really throws you off, and it's the first proper kind of scare of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Every other scare has been a joke or a
Gemma. Yep.
yeah, or like or the Ocado order, like
Yes.
and things start to like everyone kind of has an experience in quite rapid succession. The one that really stood out to me is hearing something in the attic, which comes from the initial
The tweet. Yes.
initial
The initial
tweet.
video.
Who was it that had that happen to them?
That was Caroline.
And she gets her selfie stick.
Yes.
Which,
Yes.
again, a very British thing. I've never really grown up in a house where you had an attic that you stored things in.
Nope.
But yeah, they kind of pull it down, and so my understanding. So she doesn't go up, but she sticks her selfie stick up,
Yeah.
and so everyone but her sees
The legs.
the legs hanging.
Hanging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
They're like, go back. And it's gone.
oh yes.
There's nothing there anymore.
And this one's interesting because it, for me, wasn't a jump scare, but I feel like it built that tension further.
Yeah. If you watch the video that Rob Savage did,
Yes.
that was more of a jump scare because you weren't expecting anything.
Well, and
but this you
much
kind of know,
closer.
there's got to be something in the attic. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, and also in his video, it's much closer to the camera. It's an active thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is benign in the sense that it's hanging and
yeah,
appears.
legs,
Yeah.
not screaming.
Which terrifying, but
Yes. But quiet.
it's pretty soon after this that they finally get a call from Salen, who was struggling to get through to them. Have I missed something?
Haley calls her.
Yes.
Haley is the one because she's having her lights are going out. Emma's glass shatters. Her wine glass shatters.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that.
and they all start freaking out. And Haley calls Salen, and Salen's like, "Oh, I've been trying to, my internet dropped out. Blah blah
Yeah,
blah. Is
I'm so
everything
sorry."
okay? Have you made contact with Jack?
And they have to reveal. In fact, I quite like this in a way because I feel like if I was Hayley, I would have been like, Gemma made him up, but she is still royally pissed. And it's like, I don't know, Hayley, have we made contact? Sorry, I don't know, Gemma, have we made contact with Jack? And then they reveal. My note here around this call is once Gemma made him up, and then it's that they've Salen again provides the rules and kind of is our
she's the exposition.
Yeah, she provides that exposition of why this is happening, and she says you've created a mask, and if we're lucky, it's just another spirit.
What if we're not lucky?
Yes. Oh my God. I guess all this bad stuff has happened.
Great. Yeah. Such good actresses, even if they don't have any or many credits, are really, really effective.
Yes, so effective.
Awesome performances.
Every single one of them, when you think of everything they had to do as well, they weren't just the actors, they were doing every single part of this. And
sliding camera. Yeah.
I think there were family and friends helping in the background, but
they'd have to be.
They were
1.5 meters away, though.
Well, if they lived in the same household.
That's true.
But Salen asked them to do a couple of really important things, to ask, do you have a message for us? And there's lights kind of flicker. And then to ask, are you a friend? And this got me, like, it shouldn't have, it wasn't that big, but it just, like, I was just sitting there. I think I was like, it was the first time I was watching, I wasn't watching it properly. I was doing some work in the background.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you a friend? And I looked over and it was just like bright lights, everyone screaming. I'm like, well.
Not a friend.
No, not a friend.
Not a friend.
And so everyone follows the instructions. They imagine, well, actually, no, she says, remember, you've got to cut the rope, and then it gets cut off, doesn't it? The phone gets cut off.
Yes.
And so they all, without Salen's guidance, cut their ropes, blow out the candles, and very quickly calm down. Very
quickly. And like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to go.
Well, someone takes their phone, their laptop to the bathroom and pees.
Regina. Yes, Regina did that.
Like,
I would probably do that too.
Really? Oh, no, I'm too pee shy
Given the
for that.
circumstances, your friend has just been dragged across the floor on her chair. Oh, it's all good. I would have asked more questions.
Yeah, I was surprised at how quickly it calmed down and people were sort of getting ready to log off.
Maybe it was the demon spirit ghost thing had a lull in their bandwidth. Maybe they're upgrading the NBN or something, and if you're going to be that
if this is in Australia, Australia's internet could not handle a demon.
No, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they're helping us.
Yes.
Haven't you noticed the lack of internet demons?
I haven't got any.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have a particular government to thank for slowing down the rollout of the NBN.
We do. Although they are upgrading it now.
They are, yes. Oh, privatising it though, aren't they?
Oh, gosh knows.
This just took a political turn.
That's way too much. Yes.
Some things are happening though. Regina's boyfriend, we think, has left. Everyone's they haven't left, and they were waiting for someone to come back. They were waiting for...
Regina went away to call her boyfriend to see where he was.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
so
his phone was in the bathroom.
Down the hallway. Yes.
And I think she was... So that was happening, and then... Do you know what we haven't talked about? Remember Caroline showed her Zoom background that she made?
Yes.
Of her wandering into her room and looking through her drawers and looking at her phone and then wandering out again.
Yeah, because you can make a video instead of just having a picture as your background. You can have an actual video.
Yes.
And she said she got lonely and she made a friend, which is the saddest thing in the world, but understandable.
But at this point, that video comes back on. If you've got no one to
talk to and your dad's outside all the time.
Yeah. But that video...
Occupy yourself.
That video background came back on because they were calling out to her going, Caroline, oh, wait, no, it's the background. And that's when Caroline's head, the first time, because there's one that happens where her head kind of comes into in front of the background and then disappears again. And they all kind of go, what was that? What's going on? But not, God, what happens after that? It's so much happens.
Regina's boyfriend.
Does the mask come in before her boyfriend? Yeah, the anonymous mask.
That was a bit for me.
Oh yeah, so she's it's. I can't remember who it is. It's not Caroline. It's Emma. Has the filters on her phone.
Yes.
And in the middle of her room, there's one of those anonymous masks just floating there. A mask.
In the lounge room.
That
bit, that was probably one of the most, I'm not going to say scary, but that was the bit that unnerved me.
Yeah. Well, as she got closer and closer and she's sort of around the side of it.
You can hear the digital interference.
Yes.
Like the which as she got closer and closer. I love that bit. That's just this is something new.
And that's a very deep cut for, I think, people born before a certain time, because you used to, when you're like Nokia 3310
that's like a GSM
ring,
phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You used to interrupt the signal of your like radio and it'd make that sound.
Old-timey.
When I was in the car and you'd do that to the radio in the car. And
up to the radio. Yeah. But when that mask turned to her, I'm like, that is good.
It's really
I like
clever.
that.
And she throws flour, like she runs into a kitchen, throws flour, and we see those footsteps, which again, so terrifying. I was thinking, like, they all did this in their own houses. Can you imagine the cleanup?
The kitchens. And how many times would you have had to like throw everything out onto the floor?
And then clean it all up.
Clean it up, put it back again.
So, no, I thought the mask was really clever. And it just... They really thought about it. You know, how are we going to show this demon? Well, we've created a mask. There's, let's demonstrate a mask in some way.
Yes.
So I think now is where, because does Regina miss all of that? She's kind of busy on the phone trying to find her boyfriend. She's calling people. And
then she looks up and she can see the lights are moving.
The lights are moving and everyone sees
nuts.
The oven come on.
Yes.
And they're like...
And everyone's going nuts and she comes up to the screen and goes, what? And then, boom. Boyfriend drops from the floor.
That was...
It's raining men. Hallelujah.
I mean, it's one of those things, if songs were real, the horror of it raining men.
Oh, that'd be funny.
But I think Regina dies immediately at this point, doesn't she?
Yeah, we don't see it. We just kind of get a shot of her staircase and there's like a couple of drops of blood on the screen. So I have no idea what happened to her.
Something bad.
She died, obviously, but I want to know how she died.
Well, and very quickly after this, so they're all freaking out and Caroline starts headbutting the computer again and again. Did
you see in the window of Zoom, down the bottom in the middle, you have a chat so you can like type messages and things. And there were messages from Caroline, which were just letters, like bunches of letters over and over and over again. And that's her head being bashed on the keyboard.
I did not notice that.
Typing out these letters. That's why you watch it 6 times. It's just these like garbled messages and it's her head on the keyboard.
Oh, that's amazing. So was that after or was that before?
That's during.
Also,
while you
it's like
see
watching
her head
it
going up and down, you can have a look down the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
I find it really interesting that there is a clear correlation drawn between when there's a lot of anger and things happening because Hayley gets angry again. And it comes to her chair is pulled back. It pulls her off the chair and then she's pulled into, I think, her hallway and the door slams behind her.
Yeah.
And it's this real moment because Gemma immediately is like, I have to go help Hayley. And she's like...
Puts on her mask.
Yeah, puts on her mask.
Right.
It's like priorities. And as she's out, we have this great moment in the third act of Teddy comes back. with that
Oh no,
clown puppet.
you missed
what did I miss?
Emma's goes back to her room.
Yes.
And she throws the blanket and you've got that outline of the shape.
Yes.
That was another thing that I really liked.
Yeah,
it's been done before, but I just really liked that bit.
Yeah, no, it was really it was great.
And you're like, crap.
Emma ends up just hiding under her covers.
Yes. Blair Witch.
Yes.
Without the snot.
Yes, without the snot. Although, like, there were some ugly cries happening.
There were.
You know, which is important.
With like chipped nail polish and dark roots, and
they really lent into the pandemic of it all. So yeah, then Teddy comes back. So the only person on is Emma, and Teddy's got this thing that we saw earlier, this kind of creepy clown. He's making some fun with it. And just like this is something I find funny, and it's a bit of like men just thinking that the center of the universe, but he's like, look at this elaborate prank that you've all set up for me, waiting for me to return.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, you've been gone for half an hour, mate. Like, they didn't think you were coming back.
Exactly. And like you said before, he shouldn't have.
No, big mistake.
He should
Huge.
not have.
Teddy very quickly succumbs to whatever is happening. I think this is my favorite scare on the stairs. And very close to the original.
We actually see
we see the face, and it's just long enough, like you almost don't register it. And I really, like, when I saw it, like that one as well, I wasn't expecting. Like, things were moving so quickly that I was doing that thing where I was like, ready for everything. And then we moved to a new location and I relaxed a bit. I shouldn't have.
Yeah,
because
don't relax.
Just as he turned it onto that staircase, his face just at an odd angle, just staring at you, and like, it really gets
reminded me of the demon that you see in Insidious, the red,
yes, and
black, the crazy hair, and it's like just really quick, and it was that kind of or the one in The Exorcist, where it's like a couple of frames. You see Pazuzu.
Yeah, but I feel like that's kind of what you need for this kind of thing. Like there is such a risk to kind of linger. And like, you know, something tells you, oh no, I want everyone to see this thing. But actually you don't want everyone to see it. You kind of want
like
people to miss it.
Yeah. Less is more. And it's also, you can kind of see how it's gained strength and like started off as just this mask, and then you can see the footprints, then you've got the outline, and then you see the physical manifestation of like it's getting stronger from everyone's energy or bandwidth.
You're absolutely right. Like every time we see it, the form has it's taken more of a form. Like the form has advanced.
Yeah,
which is that's really clever. I didn't notice that at all.
6 times.
I'm clearly not watching things enough before I do these episodes.
I get obsessed with things.
So when I'm trying to work out where we're at. So so Teddy, we kind of follow him for a while, don't we?
Yeah.
He kind of comes back and they're like, we're just going to kill Teddy now so that we can get back to everyone else.
Yeah.
So one of the, like, things are going wrong. We hear the music box, but interestingly, Ginny throws herself off. Is it into the pool?
I think she's dragged. This is my third bit that I loved in it. She's dragged up and you can see her flailing, and then her neck cracks and she just plonks straight down into the pool.
Ah, right.
That was brilliant. I love that bit too. So something drags her and just cracks her neck.
That must have been After Effects. They weren't sending any practical effects away.
Oh, they may have had like a rig or something to...
That'd be a hard thing to distribute during a pandemic.
Yes. One crane.
One crane, please.
Who ordered a crane? No.
So Emma is watching Teddy. He ends up in, is it a barn?
It looks like a barn.
I know it. Like I know that he was at Ginny's parents' place and it was huge and a mansion. And I was just like, okay, there's a barn there as well. How convenient.
There are barn things.
Yeah.
Stables, maybe.
Yeah, they look like horse people, don't they?
Yeah.
But he is lighting the way with a lighter.
As you do.
Can I just say, all of these people have phones. And every phone has a light on it.
Torch. And he's got it with him, obviously, because we can see him.
Just swipe down from the top right.
Yeah, flashlight.
I mean, I don't think he would have survived either way, but he at least wouldn't have burnt himself
He had a lot to drink.
Yeah. But yeah, he's lighting his way with a lighter. It's such a twat lighter as well. It's one of those old ones. Just buy a normal lighter from the...
Yeah, it's got to be a Zippo.
Yeah. And he very quickly gets knocked out with the music box.
I don't know. It was too fast
much was
to
going
see.
on. And catches on fire. It looks like... I don't know how they sort of added the fire in. To me, it almost looked like it was a cardboard cutout picture of him that was catching on fire. Because it just, the way that it started burning, it sort of went across the surface really quickly.
Kind of like half his face.
I was like, maybe, I wasn't sure. I thought it looked good, but I was like, a part of me was like, maybe that's how they did that.
I'm always expecting to see that gel that they like have to cover their bodies. And I didn't see it. Maybe that was something that they did in post.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine in this kind of scenario they would have actually lit a person on fire. Maybe.
You never know. He may have been a stunt person.
He may have been.
I think they did know stunt people.
Right.
In one of the articles.
Maybe he really catches on fire.
Some stunt people. Yes.
Emma witnesses all of this. And is the only one too, because Gemma's too busy getting to Hayley's house and Hayley has been taken away from her device.
Conveniently. Yeah.
Yes. So she kind of witnesses it all. And I honestly, I have notes. I don't know how Hayley falls out that window.
I know she opens it up. I think maybe that's the only way that she thinks that she can get out and she can climb down safely. But I think she must get pushed because she lands quite a way away from
it's like she's
the phone.
thrown.
And I love seeing the phone go down. You can see the phone and it just lands on the grass and you see her going bah.
Yeah.
On the wooden table.
Absolutely smashes that table.
Good.
There's a part of me, I don't know why, I sort of saw that and I was like, because I love zombie films so much, I was like, and now she gets up. But no. Yeah. She's well and truly dead.
Yeah.
We then get to Gemma breaking. We hear a window break. And Gemma is in Hayley's house. I found it interesting. She didn't just go straight to the door where Hayley got dragged in. Or did she?
No, she had a look at the computer first, probably to see how everybody else. I would have checked on everybody else.
Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. And then I thought she died when this happened. I thought this was the best thing. The wine bottle just flies across the room and hits her in the side of the head and she falls over.
Yeah. I think I said there were 3 things that I liked, but yeah, that was it. So number 4. That.
Number 4. Oh, let's get to number 4. No.
So many things. Yeah, that was so well done.
I loved that as a way to attack someone, and that kind of, I just never would have thought of it myself. And it was like wine bottles hurt like that.
Right? Not that I know, but
they're solid and they're tempered.
They're glass, yeah.
But she sort of drags the laptop down so we can see her and she's in pain and on the ground, and we get that amazing Paranormal Activity style, all the cupboards and drawers just burst open and she is just terrified and uses that to then rush into the hallway where Hayley is gone.
That was a little it irked me a little bit that I know you have to get the vision down to her somehow, but it just felt like hitting the table, bringing the laptop down with her.
it was.
It was a little bit hokey. I know you have to do it somehow, and the way they did it was good, but it's just...
It was very much a like, we need this to get from here to here.
Yes.
And we, it ended up being quite a clunky way of getting it down.
Yeah.
Because, why couldn't the ghost have knocked it down?
Right?
Although, I guess, I mean, I don't know, we would have inferred it if it just fell down on its own, but...
Yes.
Still. She finds Haley, who, this is what interests me. What? Yeah, she's looking through all these rooms. Is Haley just hanging out back there?
I think so. Yeah. She waited a while to reveal herself, I thought.
It was, I found it really odd. I found another thing really odd as well. So, I think there's a door that slams, because Haley's got her Polaroid camera.
Yes. Which is on the bed again. I'm sure she had it at the computer.
She did.
But, yeah. Anyway.
There's a door that slams and they see that there's something ahead of them. This is just my assumption, but it looks like she lives in an apartment. Wouldn't the exit be in the opposite direction of that door that just slammed? Couldn't they just walk out the front, the apartment door?
Don't say things like that. Well, Regina tried to get out and her door slammed her out, and that's when she died. So,
yeah, good point.
But I only have one door.
Yeah, I've only got one door to get out of, or I could have a 6th floor drop off my balcony.
Yeah.
So there's 2 options.
Take a pick.
But in my second, you have a light on your phone moment.
On the laptop.
Because is she holding a laptop pointing out?
She's holding a laptop towards it so we can see her take the photos and what's in front.
Yep. I understand they needed to capture the footage, but I remember just going, and this is not how I would do this. But they're using the Polaroid flash, and it's flash, nothing there, flash, nothing there. More times than I thought it would be.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
It's a good tease. Excellent way of building suspense.
Really dragged it out in a good way. I was every time I was this is the one. Nope.
Yeah.
And we've talked through this so quickly, but we get to the end of this movie with this final, it's the 5th or 6th flash from the Polaroid camera. And we get a good look at this,
blue black demon.
Yes. I thought that I understand, and I thinking your kind of real, your observation that it's becoming more and more formed as it goes along. I understand why it's so formed here. I almost feel like it revealed too much. Maybe it was up for too long.
I think that's why they ended the session, because when she's taking those photographs, if you look at the top left of the screen, it's got the Zoom countdown. So it's counting down a minute until the end of the meeting. Otherwise, you have to, because you do get a 10-minute warning.
Yes,
so
and
it pops that came up and then it goes away again.
The 10-minute warning popped up.
Upgrade.
No, and someone the demon, I assume, clicked it off, said,
how that happened.
Dismiss. It must have been
when she's taking the photos, you can see it count down, and it's got upgrade next to it as well, which I thought was freaking awesome. Zoom's trying to sell you something while you're dying. But yeah, and that's when the timer counts down to 0 is that last
just as it
jump
comes
scare.
in.
Yeah.
And then Zoom
meeting's ended.
Ends the meeting. And we see this thing where it opens up the kind of the contacts list, and the contacts are the credits.
Yes, that was so clever.
I thought it was really cool. Yep. And it was just another fun way to really lean into this medium that they're working with.
Yeah.
It's one of those, there was not a dull moment in this. And it's, because it's only 50 something minutes long, there's no wasted space. Everything's kind of packed full, and it moves so quickly. I've only watched this twice, but both times I kind of would look at it and just go, oh my God, we're nearly at the end. That has gone so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It grabs your attention and just holds you there. Yeah. Which is the opposite of what you do in a normal Zoom meeting. You're doing other things. Like I'll be playing on my phone. I'll be doing Animal Crossing while other people are talking.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
it's sorry everyone.
Time to confess.
No, it's funny. Like there's this great kind of, when I first started watching it, I just thought I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch this film because it's in a Zoom meeting and it just feels like work. And how quickly that stopped being a problem was so good. And it uses the things that we expect, like the person not using technology properly and making everything
the
bad.
reverb with having the phone and the video on at the same time. Turn your phone off.
Yeah. And I love like how they lent into that, but very quickly it became about something else. Like they didn't overdo it. It wasn't like it became a crutch for it.
Yeah.
You know, the way that they use the kind of quirks of the technology that we're all used to was enough to make us go, oh, this feels real, without being too much.
Yeah, it feels so old, but it's only like all those things like, oh, I can't hear you. Oh, you're on mute. It feels like we've been doing it for years, even though it has only been for a few months. It's time. Yeah, time doesn't, what is time anymore? But it just feels something that's so ingrained, and it's one of the first things you say. Unmute yourself.
Or
can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me?
Or in the cases, like I have a meeting that has about 100 people in it once a week, and it's this kind of like, can everyone please mute themselves?
Oh, it's part of our vernacular. I'm sure there's got to be some words added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
out of this period.
Zoom will receive a new definition, clearly.
Yes.
Well, we've reached the end of the film.
Such a good film.
It was great. It was original, and someone using using the kind of challenges of this time to create something innovative and new, and I really loved that.
Use what you've got.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yes.
You've got like a square inch on the screen. That's how much you occupy when you're in a Zoom meeting. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, it was so awesome. So do you have a campus line or moment that has come out of this?
I couldn't think of a line or a moment. And as I said, I did read Susan Sontag, and I was reading things about the Met Gala last year because the theme was camp from Susan Sontag. And I couldn't pick anything out specifically in the film, but I did think to other seances, I would say they are inherently camp. You've got these ridiculous robes and tablecloths and smoke machines and things like that. But I think that Rob Savage and everyone have stripped that back. So it's not camp anymore. There's a hint of it, given the premise, but the product that we're given, I don't think it has camp. Unless you have something different to say, which I'm sure you will.
Look, I saw some moments of camp. I think mostly around Teddy.
Okay, yep.
And very much only in the early stages of the film. I think it was used, the campness, the kind of silliness that can kind of break the horror, break the terror. It was very sparse, and it only really existed at the beginnings of the film in order to help us as an audience kind of settle into it.
Yeah.
I think there was a bit of that. Probably the one camp moment in the whole kind of when it was scary was when Salem called and Haley was like, I don't know, Gemma.
That's good sarcasm.
I thought that was this moment of
okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, 100%.
Well, sort of on the flip side of that, what was the scariest moment of this punch-packed film?
Scary for me is probably camp for you. Like you have a spectrum of camp. I have a spectrum of scary, and mine doesn't exist. So if someone tells me, is this film scary? I will say, no, it's not scary, because I don't think it's scary. They might go see it be scared, hate me for it. But it's that subjectivity. It's like I've grown up with this. Not much gets me. Those 4 moments that I mentioned, I admired the cleverness and that mask. It's kind of uncanny valley territory almost. This face that's disconnected. It's just there and then it moves.
It's the most like beautifully sinister thing that they do is that mask. Like,
yes,
it really, it is that moment of, you know, if you were to think of this film and like the thing that you really take away and you'll remember forever, for me, it's that moment where the mask turns and faces her. It just got me. I forget a lot of films that I've seen because there's so many of them, but I can't remember seeing that before. So this is my something new. I've seen a lot of horror films and I can say that has been something I've never seen. And even the idea of like disembodied something kind of floating in the air and having a presence, it's never been done in this way using this technology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for
groundbreaking.
Yeah, it's brilliant. For you, where do you think this lands on the camp scary scale?
I would have to give that 6.
So predominantly, so everyone playing at home, that means that a 6 is predominantly scary with just some incidental moments of camp.
Yeah.
So it's
because I wouldn't go the full pure terror because again that's your own spectrum. But yeah, and especially now that you've mentioned that, why don't you tell him?
I don't know.
And with Teddy as kind of comic relief in the beginning, then yeah, I would say there's incidental camp.
Yeah, but it does this is very close to a very pure scary movie. I think all good scary movies need a bit of camp to do that kind of audience breaking tension, lull them into a false sense of security. But I do agree. Yeah. No, this has been really fabulous. Thank you so much, Lisa, for taking time out of your day and joining me.
You called me and asked me to talk about horror. I could be here all day.
Well,
I could be here all week.
Before you do go, do you have anything to plug with our listeners?
I do. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @thatblogchick. I was lucky enough to get the same name on both sites. That's clever.
Good work.
I also wrote a chapter for a book about Hannibal Lecter, the TV series created by Brian Fuller. The book is called Hannibal for Dinner. It's a collection of essays about the television series. And the book was edited by Kyle Moody and Nicholas Yanes, and it is available for pre-order through McFarlaneBooks.com. So if you like Hannibal Lecter, I'm sure you will if you're listening to Damon's podcast about horror. You are going to love this book.
That's amazing. And I will include a link to that in the show notes for the pre-order as well.
Why, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So you can follow Camp Scary and Squee on Instagram and Twitter by going to @CampScaryPod. If you have questions or suggestions, you can email campscarysquee@gmail.com and make sure to rate and review Camp Scary and Squee so other horror fans can find us. Thank you for joining us, and remember, don't scream.
I'll hear you.